That's how we own it.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Tamika D, Mallory.
And it's your boy, Mysonne, the general.
And we are your host of Street Politicians, the place where the streets and politics meet.
It's so funny, man.
You just be funny sometimes. You are funny. Let me tell you, so I just saw a friend of mine a few moments ago, and she went to, is it called Phuket? I think it's Phuket. People be saying fuck it, but I think it's Phuket.
Fuck it. We call it fuck it.
No, it's Phuket. And like all of these places, she went to Bali. And when she left, like me, she was struggling with love handles. You know, we always talk about how we feel like we got these little love handles we can't get rid of. And then 3 weeks later, when she gets back, she's massive small. Like her stomach has gone down. The love handles are almost completely gone. And I'm like, what happened to your... No.
Oh.
The food. I just said the other day, these rats in New York City, they are so big. And the rats eat the same food that we eat because basically they eat garbage.
GMO food.
So if the rats are growing big like that, and you can clearly see that she left town and got smaller, well, she was still eating. She says she still ate rice. They were still eating seasoned food all the time. They were still eating much of the same things, especially dishes, Asian style dishes over there. And here, the same food. In fact, she said that the other night, she had a taste for something that, some Asian dish that she ordered from somewhere. And she felt sick after eating it, but she was just eating it there and it was fine. So that just tells me that what we're consuming, the preservatives and additives and the spray and the treatment of the meat and whatever else we're eating, it's really not healthy.
Yeah, they've been saying that most of the USDA food would never pass inspection in most of the other countries. Like we have the lowest grade of meat. We have the lowest grade of most of the stuff. If you eating trash, you're eating triple trash. And if you're eating good, then you're eating bottom level good. So the best thing you could do is eat good. Like that's the best thing you could do. Like for me, it's like I eat green. I don't even eat rice no more. I only eat green vegetables, maybe some carrots sometimes, some corn. But for the most part, it's green vegetables. And I do a little bit of poultry because I mix it up with my seafood. But that's pretty much it for me, man. I try not to eat a lot of condiments. I try not to do bread. I'm trying to be a lot more intentional about my health, trying to flush, because I know I'm going to drink me a little bit every now and then. So I try to drink water, either alcohol or water.
Oh my God.
Might drink a little ginger ale here and there, but for the most part,
ginger ale is water.
Yeah, so pretty much that's all. That's what it is. So it's like we ain't no spring chickens. We gotta be a lot more intentional about our health, man. Because if you gotta take care of your body, so when you get older, your body take care of you.
That's a fact. My father always said, if you take care of your teeth, they'll take care of you. If you take care of your body, it'll take care of you. My father, as you know, is a man of few words when he's, just wants to drop a gem. But he always said something good. We're back and forth between Kentucky and run home. Try to make sure you take care of your children and do the things you need to do for your family stuff. And then over here, work and got to get your hair done and your hair cut. And boom, back on the plane, back to Kentucky with our entire team. I want to say that 2 things about Kentucky. The first thing is that the most traumatizing part of being out there registering voters, we were just in the mall the other day. Of course, it's traumatizing when people say ignorant things like, oh, I don't do politics, because politics 100% do you. And if you saying you don't do politics and yet you living halfway on the edge, living in certain communities, living certain, how people, some of them live certain ways, other, we got our different things. You know, some of us might be living in extremely, you know, I don't want to say extremely wealthy, because I know that's a very small percentage, but living middle class, living pretty well, even that, even though you may think you sort of separated from it, the politics control whether how it's maintained. Like everything we do, politics do it. So that's of course very, you know, concerning. But it's the amount of folks who said, I can't vote because I'm a felon. When I tell you that maybe every 4 Black men, if I saw 10 to 12 Black men in one area, or just in the course of registering people throughout the day, 2 of them could register. The rest could not.
It's a lot, man. And I want to give a shout out to David Ayala, you know, who we did a press conference and we actually partnered with in our campaign. He is the executive director of Formerly Incarcerated Convicted People and Families Movement.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a campaign called Free the Vote, in which, you know, they have been working on restoring the rights of formerly incarcerated, system impacted, injustice impacted individuals, as they call it. And they've done a lot of work, and actually about 200,000 people have gotten their voting rights restored. And a lot of people don't even know that. So when we have that conversation, you know, and they say that, and a lot of times we able to look up and say, oh yeah, you actually can vote, you know.
Yeah.
So
right. You gotta look.
Shout them out for that. They had a ceremony in which they unveiled a new billboard that's going to be in Louisville, and is going to be on the buses in Louisville. And we partnered with them, so you know it was going to show that we working with them, and we doing a lot of work. Hopefully, you know, we'll be able to get people out to vote, because this is a very, very, very important election.
They already know.
You know, we need the people that's free to vote to go vote for Breonna.
They already know. Vote for Breonna. On November 4th, we'll be there marching folks to the polls. And then November 7th is election day. So November 2nd, November 2, November 2 is the beginning of early voting, where you don't need an excuse. You can just go, because if you have an excuse, like you're going to be traveling or you have a disability, there is a list of things. If you go to govote.kentucky.com, you can go on there and find a list of things that would give you an excuse to vote earlier than November 2nd. So there's an earlier vote in October where people who have an excuse, who have a reason to vote early can go and vote. They can cast their vote. But the November 2nd date is the date we're focused on, when it's early voting, whether you have an excuse or not. Just everybody, lottie-dottie, and everybody can go to the polls. We want to make sure that we turn folks out beginning November 2nd. So you're not even worried about standing on the line on November 7th and all day and whatever the inconveniences are. You can get out there on November 2nd. On November 4th, which is a Saturday, we will be organizing folks to show up to go to the polls. So that's the deal. We're going to march with folks. We're going to have food. We're going to have all the things that people need to get involved. So we want to make sure that folks are aware of that. Now, speaking of police brutality and Breonna Taylor, I just posted, and we are now have now entered the support for Steve Perkins' family. This is a young man in Alabama, Mobile, Alabama, the state where my mother was born and raised, the state where I spent most of my summers. My family members live in Mobile right now. Shakisha Clemens is from Mobile, Alabama, who's another person that was abused by police there in Mobile, or in the little town, neighboring town of Mobile. And, we've spent a lot of time there. So we know a lot about the difficulties of the relationship between police and community. Obviously, as it relates to Steve Perkins, there's much work to be done. I just want to So I can just tell you the story off the top of my head for folks who are listening, and you should absolutely do your research. And shout out to our brother, Attorney Lee Merritt, who is the attorney for the family.
Yep.
So Steve Perkins is in his house, sleeping. He heard some noise out in his yard, a loud noise. So he ran out to see what was going on with his weapon in tow, which is it is legal. He had a legally registered weapon, and he went out to see what was going on. There was a tow truck attempting to take his vehicle. He went out. He said to the tow truck driver, "Hey, don't touch my vehicle. It is no longer in repossession state or whatever. Don't take my car. It already has been straightened out." The tow truck driver left or put the car down or whatever. I might be wrong about that, but I know the tow truck driver, Steve, went back into the house and thought the situation was resolved. And the tow truck driver called the police, told the police that Steve Perkins pointed a weapon at him, and at which time the police set up sort of like the same thing they did with the Tatiana Jefferson, where they were hiding in the dark. And they allowed the man to go back and begin to tow the car again. So when Steve came back out, he had a gun with a flashlight on it. He came out, he's pointing the gun and the flashlight, which again is on his property. He's already told this man, tow truck company, to leave. And he does not see police officers. The police, like you said, they ambushed him. They shot and they killed this man, this father, husband, son, upstanding citizen, and a licensed person who had a license to carry and a license to have his weapon in his home, on his property. He wasn't down the street. He wasn't at the store. He wasn't across the street. The gun wasn't in his car. He didn't sneak nobody. He was at his own home, and he told the tow truck driver to leave, and he didn't. There are many other details in terms of the shit that was said, the ways in which the cops have behaved. And now, hopefully by the time that folks see this show or hear this show, they would have released all the videotapes, the body cameras of the officers who were there. And furthermore, those officers will be arrested and charged with the murder of Steve Perkins.
It's just so mind-boggling how we keep having the same shit over. Like, they keep talking about this training shit and this and that. I don't understand what human being goes to somebody's house, right? And you're just interested in trying to shoot and kill them. Like, and the thing is, for me, and they keep saying it's not racially motivated. They keep saying that, it's the law and it's not racial. It's just and it's like they find a way not to kill white people. Somebody sent me a video yesterday where a white lady is banging on the precinct door with a gun, banging on the window, boom, 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 banging, and she starts shooting the window. Mm-hmm. Nobody shoots the white lady. She leaves. They arrest her without incident, and it's like,
Did you see the video of the white man who drove his truck into the police station, jumped out, doing some crazy stuff? They got him. They put him on handcuffs, took him to the wall, and arrested him. They didn't just come out like, because I'm gonna be honest with you.
But I would have been. That's something I could sit there and say, "Damn, I don't know what this man might do." But the thing is, they see white people as humans. They see them they identify them as humans. They see that there might be something wrong with them. They immediately have been trained. Even Black officers have been trained to view Black men and women as a threat. They just view us as a threat. They feel your life is always in danger when it's a Black person, and it's crazy.
Folks should look out for more from Until Freedom on the Steve Perkins situation, because it's just sad. But in this topic, I want to talk about, it's supposed to be a topic, but because we have our guest coming on, I'm going to merge it with my thought of the day. Why don't people read? Like, really read? And I wonder if people know that headlines rarely match the exact sentiment of a story.
The headline is to make you pay attention to the story. So you're like, oh, what they said this or what they said, so that you can actually go read the story. So if you make an assessment just based on the headline, then you might be completely off about what you comment on.
Furthermore, a headline is very short. So there's no way for it to capture, unless you are extremely thoughtful, there is almost no way for it to capture exactly what you are attempting to say. And so with that being said, it brings me to, for this Carlee Russell situation that I've been talking about, and I'm going to continue to, what I'm saying is 1000% right. There's nobody that can convince me of anything different. Nobody that's going to tell me that the point that I'm raising is not an important point in this moment, using Carlee Russell as an example. I wrote in my post on my page, the first line, that Carlee Russell has received swift justice. I didn't say injustice. I said swift justice, which means that at this point, she's already been to court. Now, between her, the lawyers, and the judge, they're working on whatever ruling that's necessary, probably to limit the amount of time that she would have to do, but keeping her from having to go through a long trial and doing all that stuff. They are trying to move things along. And the judge has already given his recommendations as to what he feels should be done. And now it is up to them to solidify it and move forward. Okay? So this is what has happened. So what I said was, Carlee Russell has received swift justice, moved through the system. She was found to do something dumb and dangerous. I said that, dumb, because it was definitely dumb. And it was dangerous. And she absolutely must face the consequences of her actions. I said, at the same time, Shanquella Robinson's murderer are still free. It's gone unaddressed. I said Breonna Taylor's mother's still waiting for justice for her child. And there are a number of other cases. Just like they said, well, Carlee created anxiety because she lied and she did all of this. Cops lie, steal, and kill on a daily basis. And sometimes we're waiting 5, 6 years and even more for there to be any accountability in those cases. I said, so everybody can carry on to talk about Carlee because folks are celebrating. That's right. She deserved it. And some people said, well, I'm not celebrating it. I'm not sure that everybody reads what they are writing and I'm sure there's some people that are not celebrating it. But if you read some of the comments, they like, that's right. She deserved it. She needs more time. So while folks cheer on the process for working quickly to make sure that she's accountable, I understand that this system will often move quick to find justice and accountability and to demonize us when we do anything, from steal anything. What was his name? Khalif Browder. They say he had a book bag that he stole from somebody, right? He had a book bag that they were never even able to confirm he had the book bag. The next thing you know, he ended up in Rikers Island as a minor. He was being beaten and raped in prison. So they can go
jail for 2 years for a book bag.
They can go from a book bag to a robbery to a fake kidnapping and lies quick about us. And we will make sure we aid in that. We will stand by. We would say, throw the book at them. They wrong. That this, that. We will join in the choir of making sure there's accountability when we feel that someone has done, inconvenienced us, hurt us, impacted us. All of those things are true around Carlee. But when it comes to a constant determination to push back on the fact that for whatever reason, their own, that when the system is responsible for correcting itself and for holding itself accountable, then all of a sudden it's complicated. It's more complicated.
That's
okay.
Right.
And I said, they got to get somebody else to do it. I refuse to participate in it. It doesn't mean that I don't understand. I'm not out here going to court with the young lady or saying that she shouldn't receive time. You have a different perspective. I don't even share your perspective.
I mean, I've been in the streets for my whole life, right? And I know dudes that got gun charges. I know dudes that got assault charges that didn't get a year in jail. They got probation. They got 6 months. That did all type of shit. So, you know, as much as I think what she did is dumb and she definitely needs some accountability, giving that lady a whole year in prison, like a regular working lady, like, to me, it's just stupid. Nobody was harmed. You know, I don't even see the logic, but I see what they're trying to do. They want to make some level of example, but it's just like, I think that's a poor example. I think that making her pay, man, even if you put her on house arrest and make her have to do community service where she got to go deal with women who are battered, you know, have to go to shelters and deal with women who actually have been abducted, and, you know, and listen to their story. Like, those are the lessons you teach. Just sending somebody to jail where you take a year of their life away, you know, it's gonna be hard for her to find a job. She's gonna have to leave, you know, her apartment or whatever. Don't know if it's gonna be able to sustain to live somewhere. Like, it's prison is one of the biggest inconvenience, and just is a reset for life. And sometimes everybody don't need a reset. You know, so everybody don't need like a reset. And sometimes people need accountability. They need to see the errors in their ways. You know, you charge her some money. You make her do community service in certain places. You know, you send her to certain programs. So, to me, I think she's dealing with mental health. I don't think, you know, I think that.
Please don't say that, because, honey, that
because it is, because
everything is not mental health.
Everything is not. But the thing is, if you just decide that you're gonna call, say somebody kidnapped you, like, I don't see somebody who's of solid mind saying no shit like that.
Someone made the point that the reason why she may be the way that she is just being spoiled. You know, just plain old being spoiled. And I'm not going to disagree. I'm not going to disagree. But what I do know is that even privilege can cause you to have mental health challenges that need to be addressed. Privilege can do that to you, because you can really be so caught up in needing to win or needing to be liked or whatever, or feeling like you haven't been liked, you haven't been treated properly. So even though you have money, you don't have status, or you ain't cool, or whatever the case may be, to the point where your mind tells you that the way to get attention seeking, is absolutely something in the mind that needs to be addressed, because somewhere there's a hole. Something is telling you that you are not enough, even though you may have privilege. So, perhaps, but I don't even want to get into the argument of whether or not she has mental health. I'm saying different from you. You're saying you don't think, you've been to jail and you sat in prison for a long period of time, and you know that prison is not the only recourse to. Go ahead, you can speak.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's not the only recourse to criminal activity, especially when it doesn't involve violence, it doesn't involve malice, it doesn't involve
malice. It does. She did do something.
Well, I don't know if it was malice, because if you saying malice, the malice was on her own. She was looking for a level of attention, right? It wasn't like she gave she pointed somebody out and said this person abducted her, right? It's not like she didn't do any of those things. Those are things that we assume. She never even said. And when she came home, she said that she didn't even know what it looked like. And then she ultimately just admitted that she lied. You know, I think she bit off more than she chewed. I think she was trying to get her boyfriend to care about her, whatever it is. She did something. It's stupid. Nobody, and she needs to be held accountable. But I think a year in jail is excessive. I just don't see where a year in jail helps her do anything. I just don't. I think it traumatizes her more.
And I appreciate your sensitivity for her. You said it traumatizes her more.
Yeah.
Most people do not care about whether or not it traumatizes her more because she caused trauma on others. So
You have, you
trying
have
to
trying to compare the, it's not, see, one thing is this: when you say you cause trauma on others, these are civilians who looked at her life and decided that they felt a way about it, right? These are people that were watching and seeing on social media that felt a way about it. I don't think any one of her family members would say, yeah, she need to go to jail. The people who directly that were impacted, the people who felt the worst of it, the people who couldn't sleep and was trying to go, I don't think any one of them will say, you know what, I think they're the real victims, right? I don't think that they would say, yo, I want her to go to jail for a year. So
you
when
don't
we
know that though. They
but I
might.
don't think so. I'm saying I might, but I don't believe that.
Well, I don't know that. I
I
don't
would.
believe that
I'm
because
just
she
trying to tell
had.
you, there's no way that a family member of mine said did that. I'd be like, nah, she need to go to jail for a year.
Well, no, but it's not just a family member of hers, of course not. But the mother who, and I forget her daughter's name, God bless me for forgetting her name, but the mother who was out there day and night for her and with her family, whose daughter died. The daughter was abducted and found dead, and she was out there. Now I haven't heard from her. I don't know what she feels, but it would not be a far-fetched for her to say, after I thought I was out here fighting for you to come back, believing that if I could save you, at least it would fill a little bit of the hole of my own daughter, and you put me through all of that, and yeah, you should serve time. I'm saying you and I are both agree. Let me just finish my point. And then you go. You and I both agree, and I know that prison, we are abolitionists. We don't even want there to be prisons at all that exist. I guess I'm not 100% an abolitionist yet, because I'm still at the point of, if you rape children or if you murder people, children, specifically children, then I need you to be somewhere. And if you're a white supremacist who is out here shooting people at the Tops supermarket, I need you to be locked away, right? So I do believe in it from that perspective. But I am not a person who believes that prison should be for somebody who stole something or faked the kidnapping or whatever. I get that. I'm saying for the purpose of this situation, understanding that the system is what it is and we live within it, unfortunately.
And I want to get another perspective after you finish. Go ahead. I want to say something.
If she's in prison, if she has to go to prison for a year, which it won't be a year, or if she has house arrest, that's fine with me. She did something wrong. It was wrong. It hurt people. Folks were invested, and it's terrible. And I understand people who don't have the sensitivity that you are speaking of right now for this young lady. I get it.
Well, for me, is this, right? Because there's so many different things. Like I think women who falsely accuse men of battering and rape should be charged. Battery or rape should be charged. There's no charge. They just dismiss it. Oh, it was, you did wrong. Like, so
that's not 100% true. It is not overwhelmingly the case that women who lie get charged, but there are women who have been charged and convicted of a crime. I don't know if they actually went to prison.
They don't go to jail. I have yet to hear of a woman who went to prison for lying. I've never heard. I don't think I ever. And I'm gonna look it up. Maybe
lying to law enforcement in general is a crime.
Perjury.
And there are people who have been charged with lying to law enforcement. However, to your point, it is not overwhelmingly the case. And so it is very much so an inequity, if you will, unequal situation.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, because that damages a person's life, a person's reputation for the rest of their life. Men got, even after you say you was lying or you get found lying, men got to live with a stigma. So, like, I think if we're gonna start advocating for people to go to jail, those are people that need to go to jail, not a woman who and her family trying to get some attention from her family. you know, that isn't falsely accusing any individual that ain't got nobody. If somebody had got locked up, if she had said this person did this to me and
Well,
pointed,
she did try to say the orange-haired man.
yeah, she tried to create us. But the thing is,
I
ultimately,
mean, the point is, nice.
she was
Was
never going to identify. Of course, we're not. The problem is, it's just like,
because what if they would have started arresting orange-haired men with the woman in the car just while trying to find? You don't know how many people were pulled over. How many? What about the police officers? The time that it took for them to sit down and try to run orange-haired men that's been
how
in
much
this.
money they get for free? Police officers, man, please, they out here getting tax
I
plans.
hear what you're saying, but I still feel like I get the point of her having to receive some measure of consequence for her actions. What I'm saying is that to me is cool. And people said, well, we can do both things at once. We could be outraged about both things at once. And I'm saying that, yeah, that's a wonderful statement. It's a great snapback. But the problem is that only one side of those is really working. So your outrage, even though you saying you could be outraged about two things at once, a lot of times only one side is working well, which is the side of the outrage that you have for things like the Carly Russells and the accountability of Black and brown people for anything we do, any action that we make, from bubblegum stealing all the way to whatever other murders and everything else. So, it's only working on one side. So for the most part. So I just want to make sure that people understand that what I'm raising is not a point about what you can and cannot be outraged about and how you should and should not feel. I'm talking about this system, and for us to recognize that oftentimes we got a lot of smoke for our own people, and we don't necessarily have the same level of venom and anger. We always want to find some excuse about why. Just like right now, I posted about Steve Perkins being killed by the police, right? And some person is in my comments like, well, tell the whole story. He was behind on his payments, but it wasn't in repo status. And the fact, and then, he came out with the gun, this and that and the third. Wasn't in repo status is a full sentence. Boom. It was not in repo status. So do you know what was supposed to happen at the point that it wasn't in repo status? The cop was supposed to take his ass to the front door and knock on it and say, hello, sir. Hello, human being. Hello, person with some civil fucking rights. Can I ask you a question about what's going on here? That's what was supposed to happen.
That's right. They wasn't supposed to ambush a man to sit in the bushes and wait for him to come out already knowing he's angry at the person, because they already got the call from the person and they said he waved the gun or whatever. So you anticipate, you just lured him into a trap. You didn't come and say, it's just very strange, man.
But what are you talking about? So it's right. So to get back to the point, you could come over here and make the excuse and the reason for why, well, it's George Floyd, it was this, and so was that, and Breonna's boyfriend was in the house, and then Shanquella might have did this, and this, that, and the third. But I'm telling you that let you commit one crime, you do one thing wrong, they will put your ass up under the jail. But if somebody murders you, blows you up, put 8 bullets in your body or whatever, we're going to have to fight because it's more difficult and it takes longer to decipher, and it's more details, and it's this, that, and the third. And meanwhile, you don't have no freaking rights. No rights. But I bet you one thing, don't you inconvenience no white people and make them have to go do paperwork and shit for you missing, and they wasting their time on you. Because you going to jail.
Going to jail.
You going to jail.
And you're gonna pay $25,000 in restitution.
And we're gonna make sure of it. But over here, the inconvenience of the whole community having to watch people being shot dead, having to see all the blood that is spilled on the streets of this America with Black people. Oh, well, it's complicated.
Very strange, very complicated. We can talk about this all day because this is the reality. But we have our guest that is about to show up. you know, friend of the family. He's one of my guys, man. Love him to death. I can't wait to interview him.
Don't love people to death.
I love him to life, my fault. I love him to life. He's one of the best photographers, hip hop photographers that you will ever meet. He's a connector.
He's so much more than a noteworthy, award-winning photographer. I would, more so give him the title of documentarian. Someone who is capturing so many of our moments. I mean, when you think back to the struggles and not just the struggles, but the moments, the historic moments of a previous time, often when we're living through it, we don't see the value and or understand the importance of the story that will be told to our children. And what will be the historic value of our lives, just everything we did, the fashion, the entertainment, the moments at the rooms that we were in, when we were friends, when we were not, who was together, who wasn't together, when we were fighting for the rights of our people. I mean, all those things at one point or another, it will become the only thing left, right, to tell the stories to our children. And so I think that all the flowers that Johnny Nunez has been receiving as of late, shout out to our sister Felicia Butterfield Jones for being one of those to really ensure that Johnny receives his flowers, has really been fitting.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me, Tamika. And I really feel like, it's an honor to be a witness to what you've not only achieved, but will continue to achieve for the cause of not only our race, but our culture. And you guys are the hidden figures that give a voice to the voiceless. My camera lends an eye to those atrocities and beautiful moments, So I'm just excited that I was able to be invited to be, able to capture a moment, an emotion suspended in time and for eternity.
Yes, man. Like, shout out to you, Johnny, man. I always tell you, man, how much I love you and I love what you do. You always there with that camera flashing, I tell a story all the time how my first photo shoot when I was signed to Def Jam Violator, that Johnny did it in front of the legendary tunnel. Like nobody even knows. Like I think about that all the time, and just to see that both of us are here, 30 years later, damn near, after all of that. I just want to know, like, Johnny, what made you start doing photos? Like, what was the inspiration?
In my other, interviews, I was going to school for radiation therapy oncology. And I don't want to get anybody, if I say the name of the hospital, I don't get anybody in trouble, but there was a hospital that was known for racism. And just as I was getting ready to graduate in 3 months as a radiation therapy technician, for those on the show that don't know, I was thinking I was entering a program to take x-rays of people with broken arms and broken legs. I wound up entering a program to treat people with cancer. But in my application, out of 420 interviews, I was one of the lucky 22 that they chose. Because at the time, I fed the homeless. I worked and donated my time to a lot of organizations to help children. I was adopted myself in foster care, so I wanted to, not wanted to, but always had it in my DNA to give back. So I chose radiation therapy oncology. I started it, go through with it, and I got kicked out of the program, sadly, 3 months before graduating. I witnessed an atrocious racist attack, and I went back to my roommate, who I was staying at his house with his wife, and I told them what I witnessed, and I couldn't believe my eyes. They said, "Johnny, you do what's in your heart." I'm like, "Well, what should I do?" They said, "Tell the professors what you saw," and I did. And the next thing I know, I went to North Shore University Hospital to the department, and they came up to me, "Motherfucker, nigger, you sick bastard. My husband's a police officer, and he'll shoot you in the fucking face. This is what they told me. I could curse on this show.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
I was mortified. And my professor said, yo, Johnny, for us to make a complaint about this radiation therapy oncology department, you have to produce some kind of evidence. We can't just speculate and you have to have hard evidence. So I told my professors, go to Rose, who was an orderly that would bring the patients um to the treatment center or the department for cancer treatment. And one time she went to go take a lunch break and they said, Rose, you can't leave. And she's like, well, I'm going on my lunch break. I'm very tired. When I come back, I'll bring more patients. These technicians wanted to take a break longer, and that's why they wanted to take her out of her own time to accommodate themselves. So when she refused, they said, Rosa, if the master catch you, he gonna give you a good whooping. And they started to chuck and jive, dancing. And she said, I'm gonna report you. So that was my evidence because the professors went and told her. Well, unfortunately, my son, that's what started it. I was immediately kicked out of the program. An accident occurred. They blamed it on me. And here I am thinking I'm going to be a radiation therapist. Now I'm living homeless in my Mazda 323. The apartment that I had, the landlord wanted to rent it to another tenant for more money. So I lost that. I asked if I could take their room. They said somebody else was going to take that for more money. So I packed my stuff up and embarrassed, and I put my stuff in storage because my family adopted me. The family that adopted me raised me to be a certain way, and I could not return back to my dad with nothing or to tell him and thrown out of the program. So that wasn't an option. So I went back to delivering pizza and chicken and being a home health aide for elderly people. The girl I was dating, who I thought was going to marry, I wound up telling her, "Hey, I got kicked out of the program, but don't worry, I'm gonna figure this out." She was like, "Johnny, I met somebody at Stony Brook University, and I've been meaning to tell you. I think it's time we just become friends." So I lost my girl, I lost my apartment, I lost my career that I thought, and I resorted back to what I did to get through college, which was deliver Pizza Hut. So and this is how I became a photographer. As I went to deliver one delivery, an individual who sold street pharmaceuticals, I got to his beautiful house and he said, Nunez, wait a minute, ain't you in medicine? I'm like, yeah, but here's your pizza. He's like, oh, you probably doing this to finish paying off your medical loans and stuff like that, right? I'm like, correct. He's like, reach down in my pocket. And I'm like, what? He's like, reach in my pocket. I can't. I got the pizza, I got the soda. And I pulled out a knot of hundreds. I said, so and so, I just started my shift. I don't have change. He goes, just peel one of them out. Peel one of them out. Peel out $100 bill. This is like 1996, you know. He's like, keep that. I'm like, keep that. You sure? He's like, go ahead, stop playing. So I left, and when I got to my car, or should I say my living room, I started to honk the horn in disbelief that in a matter of one complaint on racism, I'm now kicked out of the program and now have to live in a car. So my ex-girlfriend's mother still loved me so much. A lot of my ex-girlfriend's moms, I was the best ex-girlfriend's son-in-law to be. And the the next day after that delivery, um, my manager called and said, Johnny, I don't know what you did, but you gotta come here right now to the Pizza Hut. I said, it's not my day to work. He goes, there's a guy inside the shop, just went back outside. He said he's not leaving until he speaks with you. And by the way, when you come to the Pizza Hut, not come through the front, come through the back. I'm driving through the Pizza Hut area and I see nothing but what looked like a car show. Porsches, convertible BMWs, Benzes. It looked literally like a car show. By the time I came to the back, I said to my general manager, Tony, what's going on? He goes, that dude right there, he wants to talk to you. He ain't leaving. And he told me to call you. So I don't know what you did, bro. You better go out there and take care of it. So I go outside and it's same homeboy. I'll call him D for now. I'm like, yo, D, what's going on? He's like, yo, Johnny, man, I heard what happened, bro. I said, hey. He's like, I want you to come work for me. I said, you opening up a pizzeria too? He's like, nah, nigga. I want you to come help sell me that, help come sell that white girl. I'm like, white girl? It was work, nigga. I'm like, wait a minute, Danny, if you're saying what I think you're saying, I changed my life now. It's about pizza. And I'm not doing medicine no more. And I definitely can't play with blood money. He goes, it ain't fucking play money. I need you, Jay, because I remember in high school and in junior high school, you was a quick connector. You was always networking. You was introducing people to people. I need that on my team. I said, well, I don't know, D. He goes, give me your hand. I held out my hand. And he put paper in my hand. And then he rolled my hand into a fist and he squeezed it. He said, Johnny, if you decide you don't want to work for me, keep that. Doesn't matter. But if you decide that you want to work for me, there's plenty more where that came from. And then he bounced. I couldn't wait to see what was in my hand. And it was $1,000 in cash. That time, my ex-girlfriend's mom called me and said, Johnny, I made your favorite dish, Haitian turkey wings and rice and beans. I'm like, oh boy, I'm coming over, you know? And I went over there to get the food. You know, my ex-girlfriend was away in college. I go over there and she converted one of the rooms into a makeshift bedroom. She said, Johnny, you still got clothes from when you was dating my daughter. I don't know what you're going through, but tonight this is your room. You know where the shower's at? And oh, by the way, here's your favorite dish. So when she closed the door, I began to cry. You know, I'm a man. I ain't, you know, I started crying and I said, God, I don't know what's going on. You had me about to be in the medical world, and then now you lowered me now to where I'm living in my car. Now I'm getting offered this kind of a business lane. All I wanted to do was help people. I wanted to be a priest too once, and I wanted to join the Peace Corps. I wanted to go to Africa and build huts and houses. I was all about that, but now I want to murder some people. Murder was never on my mind. I wanted to literally kill certain people, and on top of that, get into a lane of destruction with drug dealing. And I said, God, if you don't give me an idea, when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm gonna go sell drugs and I'm gonna get my vengeance in Jesus' name. That's how down I was, that I was angry at God and I could not believe where I was. I was embarrassed. I could not understand what was going on. The next morning, you guys don't have to believe me. I woke up in the morning and I saw a camera. It was in the air. And I rubbed my eyes to me like this. I'm like, man, I'm really tired. I look and there it was, like a spaceship or a helicopter hovering. And I was like, let me put my hands and grab it. I went to grab the camera and my hands went through the camera and it dissolved. And I said, man, I am really tired. Maybe because I've been sleeping in that car. Whew, and then boom, it popped up again. And I said, okay, God, no more jokes. I asked for an idea and I see a camera. God, if this is what you want me to become a photographer, give me one more sign and I swear I won't bother you for a while. Just give me one more sign. And my faith, they call it the Holy Spirit. And out of nowhere, a supernatural energy entered my body. And I went to some of my friends' houses where I normally took showers. And I told them as they were playing Mortal Kombat, yo, fellas, I know what I'm going to be. And they were like, Johnny, what are you going to be? I said, I'm going to be a photographer. And as they were playing Mortal Kombat, I still remember my boy Pat, another Haitian brother. He was like, Johnny, you live in a car. You got kicked out of a medical radiation therapy program. And you come over our place to eat our food on our refrigerator, not replace it, and take showers in our bathroom. What makes you think you're going to be a photographer? Who told you you're going to be a photographer? I said, God did. He said, what? I said, God did. Okay, now you're bugging. Johnny, did the radiation never hit your head? I said, no, Pat. Son, Johnny, you don't even own a camera, bro. You're living in your car. What money? I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. So long story short, there was a book I was reading called Unlimited Power by Anthony Robbins that was actually given to me by a group of my friends who we got into a very racial political argument. When I got kicked out of that medical program, not only were they racist, I was warned by a white woman how racist they were and how they were quick to kick out people of color. And I just thought I'm such a people person that they're gonna love me until I saw what they did to this poor black woman. They actually physically harmed her. And I
Mm.
refused to help them transport her body into a different position unless someone aided her head because she had just had a tracheotomy. And when she screamed in pain, she was make a sound that sounded like this, like, and these white technicians all started laughing, cracking up in her presence. There was a man who had aged just like her, but they gave him so much respect. They held him, they protected him, they gave a conversation with this black woman. They refused to talk to her. They wore face masks, they wore gloves. So that inhumane feeling of feeling like you're not there, you're trash, that's what they did to her. So that's why I told them that I wasn't going to help transport her body until someone supported her head. By that, by the time I got out of the room to the console to deliver the radiation, these same group of people were cursing me out racially and telling me you're finished. And that's when I went and made a complaint. But that was the greatest blessing to get kicked out of a medical racist school program. Why? Because I would not have had this opportunity to complain to God and then God direct me. So when I was reading that book, Unlimited Power, it said in one chapter, whatever you're doing right now, stop what you're doing and see where you want to be in 3 years. So of course I'm working this sweat job at this horrible factory while I'm still living in a car. And I'm illegally reading a book while I'm supposed to be working. I then turned the page and said, stop what you're doing. If you didn't stop and see what you're doing in like the next 3 to 5 years, go back to the page before and look and visualize where you want to be. So I stopped the conveyor belt. I heard the general manager of the building screaming, who stopped the fucking belt? So I looked at this wall, y'all don't have to believe me, and I saw myself shooting Jay-Z, shooting Sean Combs, shooting Naomi Campbell, being in a private jet, traveling the world, doing all kind of cool shit, and being a boss, and meeting Russell Simmons. All these kind of like, yeah, right. And then the manager came up to me and said, if you ever fucking press that conveyor belt, I will kick your ass and I will personally kick you out of this factory. Why the fuck did you stop the machine? I said, I thought I saw something, so I wanted to stop it. He goes, turn the machine back on. So the moral of the story is by the end of 1997, I will have made $98,000, no longer living in a car. I wound up being the personal photographer to Jay-Z, personal photographer to Sean Combs' Titty, personal photographer to Nas, personal photographer to Russell Simmons, eventually the personal photographer to Michael Jordan, personal photographer to LeBron James, Michelle Obama, Barack Obama traveled the world as an ambassador representing the United States of America under the Obama administration, wind up being the first Black Latino Grammy Recording Academy of Music photographer, now a VMA photographer and an MTV photographer. Wound up raising money for the blind. I now shoot for Tamika Mallory. I got to shoot the first cover of Mysonne's rap album. I can go on for days talking about Oprah Winfrey, Gayle King.
Johnny,
Shoot.
usually by now we would have cut it to change
We
the
just had to
question.
listen to that.
But the way that you tell that story and the heart and soul, the pain, the triumph, when you keep saying you don't have to believe me. First of all, I've known you 20 years and I've never known you to tell one lie ever in your life. Never, ever, never, never, never. And I believe you, I might not have had something to pop up in the sky, but I know what that existential feeling is that comes over you that lets you know it is something bigger than human nature. Like it's not, it's something of a life that you only hope to be able to receive a message from God in that way. And it inspires me so much that I want people to hear it just like that, like the whole story, you know. And I want to say that even when I think about when you were speaking, the tears in my eyes began to come, not even for you, but more so for my son, because I was thinking about 7 years in prison, believing that you were going to be one thing going in the door and coming out something totally different, and how you could be mad at God, 10 white men, and some other people, and instead figuring out what could you do to make good of instead of bad with whatever has your experience has been. And I began to get emotional because I know that it's not easy to have dreamed of something your whole life or believed something your whole life, and then in the blink of an eye a shift happens, and we're not always ready for that shift. So I just wanted to say that it's just but you know, I do have one question.
Thank you.
You talked about all of those people. Trust must clearly be a thing. I have never seen Johnny Nunez post or be the center of a gotcha moment. And I'm 100% sure that you've been in spaces and places where people got the white stuff still on their nose and they don't know it's there. And, you know, I know you've seen relationships that ain't supposed to be, people with people coming from places doing things, but you have never, ever been a person, as far as I know, that's, meddled in mess. So talk about the trust factor. Yeah, TMZ thing. Talk about that trust factor. And was that a business decision, or is just you, or, you know?
So, one thing about me, having the opportunity to be adopted by a Puerto Rican family that didn't have much themselves, but gave me everything. They were able to show me the value of neighborhoods and respect. I would walk through neighborhoods in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, where I was raised and I was born in Brooklyn. I would be called nigga. I would be called spick. I couldn't walk down certain blocks. I was constantly being chased by dogs because certain white men and white women would let their dogs loose just to see me run. And so for the whites that lived on my block, I try my best to I let these motherfuckers get away with a lot of shit, but I just wanted to be cool so that no one would refuse me being in their circle. Be calm, chill. They're gonna crack some jokes. So what does that have to do with your point? Is that I always know that respecting people and helping them, whether they're the number one on the top charts or just the opening up act, give them the respect, the lowest level tiers, give them the respect as if they was the top tier. And when they do become the top tier, they're going to remember those people that came to them to their performance at SOBs. They're going to remember you was at Maria Davis's showcase, one of the photographers shooting them when they didn't even have a label deal or a hit song. So for me, it's actually an opportunity where I get to help, and I feel great that I could be a part, one brick in that home that helped build this artist's career. So, to your point, I cannot put anything that would jeopardize them because it would only shoot myself in the foot when they do blow up. And some people want to get that fast buck, catch a picture of two people come out of a hotel, catch a picture of a person in a car with somebody, or a fight break out. If I had $1,000, every horrific photo, whether it be with violence, sex, crime, robbery, you name it, I probably have at least $2 to $3 million on me. But the blessing is that I'm not in it to lift myself up by destroying your career. I'm in this to raise our babies so that we have knowledge of self, so that our children and their children would only self-rely upon themselves and their own race. I'm not trying to segregate. I'm just saying we don't need anybody. We built this country. America is our ancestors' foundation. They built this for us. And we are the descendants of a dream of kidnapped Africans and genocided, or I don't think that's a word, Native
Genocide,
Americans and Native
not yet.
Americans that were sacrificed so that we have this opportunity to be where we are today. So,
It's called integrity. It's called integrity. And you have a
and
lot of
for
integrity. And I think that's the reason why you've lasted so long, and everyone sees Johnny. Whenever you see Johnny, it's a happy moment. Like I don't care what artist, superstar, every time I see you and you get them on camera and they look at you, they're, oh, it's Johnny. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like Cheers. You like Norm coming to Cheers, man.
yeah,
No matter where you are, man, because
thank you.
you created this, this atmosphere of trust and just love, and you always connecting people. Like you said,
Got
that
you.
the guy says, that you're connecting, you know how to do this. You walking, you're not only taking pictures, and if anybody knows that, Johnny will put you next to somebody that you never met, and like, I want you guys to take a picture. Boom, boom, boom. Then I introduce you to the guy and say, boom, this is such and such, and this is such, and you guys need to meet. He does this, and he does this, and she does this, and this, and and the way that you do it is so effortlessly, it's effortless, and it helps a lot of artists, right? New people, because a lot of people walk into spaces and they're around big artists, and they don't really know these artists, but you know them. So you know that the connection needs to be made. They need to be comfortable in certain spaces. And I watch you navigate and do that so well, man.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
amazing. It's a tribute to the person you are. But I never knew that you were adopted.
you. Yeah, so I'm Black, Chinese, and Venezuelan from the island of Trinidad. But I was blessed enough to go find my biological family, and I met my real family, and I realized why God blessed me with my adopted family, no pun intended. But I just thank God that He brought me into this remarkable family. That shoot, if I had to do it over again, I would not change a thing because I had a remarkable upbringing of a family that took me under their wing as if I was their own, and raised me to be with these values: help people, love everyone, do your best to help people, you know, and don't get it twisted. I'm very, very radically militant with Black and Latin history. I'm very much about a matter of factness. You know, I just use my lens in a way that could help lift and push the narrative of our culture through the lens, you know?
And I
So,
I would say I'm one of those people that when I started, I remember Rachel Nordling invited you to the first event where I became executive director of National Action Network, and Victoria, what's the name? Victoria Webb and Andre Harrell, God bless his soul. They were the co-hosts for the event. It was my first little like celebrity thing. And I mean, this is years ago now.
mm-hmm,
And you were the photographer. And
mm-hmm,
ever since then, you've always done exactly what my son says, depending on, whatever room, I'm not the person that's going to be asking people for pictures. And you like, no, you gotta, Tamika Mallory, while you're taking pictures, you've always done that. And you're 100% right. You've been there with me from in someone else's shadows all the way to standing on my own. So I just
amen,
want to say
amen.
thank you for that. But I will say
Thank
my
you.
last thing
Mm-hmm,
is you have a very no chill way of taking pictures.
mm-hmm,
So if you're not ready when Johnny snaps the camera, that's just your problem. Johnny's in the room, you got to be ready. When he say, yo, you got to be ready. So what is that? Because I know people tell you that all the time, like, Johnny, wait a minute, give me a minute. But are you trying to get people in their natural habitat? Is it just rushing, or do you want people to prepare? Like, what is the mindset behind how quick you move in a room?
So, I don't know I was never diagnosed with ADD, you know what I'm saying? But I've always been like, make the moves now. My wife actually sometimes tells me, Jay, you need to chill, man. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, you like to kick ass and ask questions later when you should be thinking about what you want to do first. That does get me in trouble sometimes. But to answer your question, I actually say this quote, and maybe it'll stick to you both. And that is, history repeats itself. Opportunity does not. You have to be ready. And I say all that to say that when I'm shooting, a photographer, when they sell photos or when they show their work, they're actually not showing the subject in the photo. I mean, technically you are. I shoot you guys with Jay-Z inside the 4040 private room like we did for the 11th anniversary of the 4040, which is not there no more. It's being relocated, I believe. That moment is in all
Right.
your glory, right? But it's also the opportunity for the photographer to show the viewer what they see. So like
Mhm.
the painter with its paintbrush and its different colors and its different palettes, different colors on the palette, and and the canvas and the strokes of their paintbrush, or an artist with his words written on his paper from his pen, making a song, or someone in politics or in social equality that's writing and preparing a speech so that they can get the word out. That's the same caliber of energy that the photographer wishes to show the people that look at his photos. It's not what's in the photo, it's what they see, and they want you to see what they see.
Mhm.
So when I'm
See me
shooting,
cute. See me cute.
oh,
John,
you're always cute,
see
bro.
me
You're always
cute,
cute.
bruh.
I would never want to put you in a bad light. You bless. You're hot. I'm just keeping it 100. So, um, yeah. So for me, I just like there's no time to get ready. Ready's now.
We
Let
ready.
me get my hair. You know what? There's
Stay ready, you
400.
ain't gotta get ready.
There's
Yes, sir.
4 or 5 other photo setup opportunities. Gail King just gave a high five to Oprah. There's Michael Jordan laughing with Hope. Like, and this person right here wants me to say, hold up, we get ready. You know, you can get ready, but I'm out.
We're about to let you go, Johnny, but before you go, right, I just want to give you your flowers because you deserve them, man. You're
Thank you,
one
my
of the
son.
greats, one of the greatest who've ever done it, man.
Thank you, man.
When you talk about the people you've worked with, and then I've seen the pictures that you've taken, and just pictures you've taken of us. Like you just talked about that picture with Hope. Like I got
Remember
it.
that one?
Yes, I got it blown up in my room right now.
Where
So
Sean? Sean came over
with
your shoulder.
Sean. Yep. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
man.
And it's an amazing picture. Like you just been doing this so long, and everybody who somebody knows who Johnny is, man,
Right.
Thank you. Thank
and
you.
they respect you and they love what you do. I just want you to. What do you want? What do you want your legacy to be when it's all said and done? What do you want your legacy to
I
be?
want to be able to, and just as real quick within that answer, when I look back now and I see to myself, wow, look where God has brought me. Like I was in Buckingham Palace when Queen Elizabeth was alive. I was
Mm.
on the phone with El Chapo when he was not in jail. I used to shoot from kings and queens to masterminds of crime, as a personal photographer. How the hell you trust someone who never even went to school for this? But then I look back and I realize when I was a child, I'm sure both of y'all used to sell candy for your school. And
That's
they
right.
wouldn't give you no money, but they give you this menu of items. You sell this much candy, you can buy this watch or this water gun. You remember that, y'all?
Yep.
Like,
Yes.
no matter how many points I was trying to go for, how many cookies or candies, I was always trying to get a camera. So that to me shows that God already had implanted it from when I was 3 or 4 years old, in kindergarten, 5 years old, to just like planting that seed and saying, you're gonna go through some rough patches. I'm not gonna lie. You're gonna be covered in dirt. You're gonna be in the dark. I'm gonna shine some light on you. You're gonna grow like a flower. Through the cracks, you're gonna survive. Then I'm gonna let you blossom. And you're gonna have in your phone book. You're gonna have in your phone book. I can't even lie. Spike Lee's phone number. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have Nas's phone number. You're gonna have Fat Joe's phone number in your book. You're gonna have Rich Paul's number in your book. You're gonna be well taken care of, and you're gonna be a founding contributor to the largest photo agency in the world called Getty Images. Can't even make that up. People think I work for Getty. I'm a grandfather contributor, aka my partner. You feel me? So I say that to say that's how good God is. It's amazing. He could take you, but you had to go to jail, or you lost a loved one that was so dear to you that it just shifted your life to then now you wake up. you're in the Ritz Hotel in Paris with a
Mm,
balcony looking towards Cannes and the film festivals at Cannes and Nice. I mean, I have stories to tell you, but
I
it's
know you
just,
do.
You know,
Well,
but
Johnny,
the legacy is to leave an opportunity for our young brothers and sisters of color and other to be able to photograph and be business men and women of their own so that they don't have to work for a company. They could start a company. I pray that what I leave behind is what Gordon Parks started and Jamal Shabazz then took the helm. And then you have Ricky Powell and God bless the dead Ricky Powell and Chimo Doon. They started companies, but they were never able to pass on how to do it. I want to be able to teach the babies how to start their own company and be self-sufficient so that they have their own company. Right now, both my son and daughter both know how to do photography. And now the next step is how do we market them? How do we brand them? I got my daughter in a Michael Jordan Nike campaign. I got my son in a Morningside Gallery for Faces of Harlem exhibit, which ends in November. I'm trying to leave, but not just for my children, all the children, especially that were affected by the demonic colonizing of American history. So that means we got work to do to teach the children, not just photography, videography, rap, songwriting, music, political, uh, uh, what's the word? Being a social advocate for justice. We have to bring them with us. So, and show them from our own hands and our own mouths and eyes.
Johnny Nunez, thank you so much, brother. We love you. We admire you. We
Thank
respect
you.
you. I appreciate your understanding of history. You really, truly are a gem. Your
Thank
wife is a gem, your
you.
family, everywhere you all
Thank
are. You're beautiful, never changing. You never act funny when you see people that, oh, today we in the room with Diana Ross, so therefore Tamika Mallory is not important. You like Diana Ross. Do you know Tamika Mallory?
Yeah.
You should know
Get her
Tamika
number. Get her number.
Mallory.
Get her
Yeah,
number.
y'all
Get her
gotta
number.
exactly. So God bless you. We love you
Thank you.
on your journey. Keep telling your story.
Thank you. I just want you to see my lemonade, Mighty Joyful Lemonade. It's available on my website, mightyjoyful.com. It's the first ever lemonade that was inspired by hip hop and it's inspired by Mama Wana. So go buy a can, tell a friend to tell a friend.
Mighty Joyful, huh?
Yeah, Mighty Joyful Lemonade.
Mighty Joyful Lemonade
Yeah.
by Johnny.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
each can has a
I love lemonade too. I like
each
the
can has
can.
a different each can has a different element of hip hop. Is the graffiti artist, that's my son and daughter back to back in the b-boy stand. The next one is the DJ, which is my daughter scratching, the MC, which is my son with the microphone, and then last but not least, the b-boy breakdancing, and that's me doing the windmill. So you can collect all four.
Okay, well, make sure you go out, support Johnny Nunez. Tell them where they can find you again, Johnny.
Go to my Instagram or go to the website mightyjoyful.com or mightyjoyfullemonade.com.
And what's your Instagram?
Johnny Nunez, JOHNNY. Nunez is NUNEZ.
We love you, Johnny. Keep it
All
up.
right, brother. Love you. God bless.
Love you, King. Shout out to Johnny Nunez, man. Our brother, the gym. Since I was a teenager, he took my first photo shoot in front of the tunnel, man. Amazing just to watch him, grow and get the accolades he deserves. And just hearing that story, like you said, we couldn't even stop him. Like usually we don't let nobody just talk for 15, 20 minutes, but we couldn't stop that story. It was just so compelling and heartfelt and real. And I just want the audience to hear it exactly how he told it. So shout out to him, man. That brings me to my I don't get it. We talk about pictures and we talk about, recording history and we talk about these things. If everybody knows, unless you're under a rock or you just blind or deaf, we know what's happening with, in Israel and Palestine right now. And we've seen, the loss of life. We've seen bombing. It's war. We've seen that there's war. And, and I think for me, what I don't get, first we always want to acknowledge that we do not condone violence, murder, killing, kidnapping at all. And we vehemently, denounce that, but we want we need that the media properly report what's going on. You know, the media is so dangerous. And you know, when we look at what happened to the Israeli people who were actually at a party, you know, and we see how, you know, they were invaded, were kidnapped, lives were lost, and it was a horrible thing. And nobody could condone that. Nobody, even the Palestinians, don't condone it. You know, there are Palestinians that all of our friends here said that that is the worst thing, and they would not condone it. They don't celebrate it. They don't think it's okay. But when you look at the media and how they cover one side of something, you know, and unfortunately, we have to go to social media where there are certain people who are accurately reporting what's actually happened with the Palestinians, you know, and their lives being lost every day. Their babies, they have a count for over 100 babies that have been dead. They have videos of this happening. They have all of these things. And when you look at the news and you look at how they report it one side, and they talk about how Israel has the right to defend themselves, and they're saying babies were dead and women are killed, and they're not saying that that's happening in Palestine. You know, they're not saying that they cut off all the water and those people are over there. They're not saying that they're even American citizens who are locked in Gaza on the Strip, that they won't allow to leave. That I've seen, you know, reports, and I've seen people on calls and videos talking about they're pretty much just waiting to die. They haven't had water, they haven't had food. And, you know, and so when these things aren't reported and is reported one way, I want people to understand that these things are done for a reason. Whatever reason it is, you just have to use discernment. You know, I've been around and I've watched media, being inside of this industry and being part of the social justice movement. I've watched the media lie. I watched the media create narratives that aren't true. I watched the media tell one-sided narratives. And this is what's happening here, man. And you know, we're not gonna allow that. We're gonna utilize our voices to tell the truth all the time. We're people who actually went to Palestine, and we know what's happened there. We know the history of what's happened there, you know. And as much as we do not condone what happened to the Israelis, what happened, what Hamas has done, and we do not condone that, we will not allow there to be a one-sided story, to act like the Palestinians haven't been dying and aren't still dying as we speak right now. So, you know, I just want to send out my regard, my prayers to all the people who lost their loved ones, all the ones who died. You know, this is war and it's not okay. You know, we were looking for a peaceful resolution, but if you do not acknowledge that peace only comes when there's justice, you know, peace only comes when there's freedom. There's no people who are oppressed, who are going to continue to be oppressed, who are going to die without any level of fight. You know, and I think any person of good nature and moral conduct wouldn't even want people to be oppressed.
Well, here's the thing. I would say that one, not all Palestinians, you said Palestinians don't even want the killing to continue. And I want to make sure to be careful about that, because while we certainly absolutely 100% unequivocally believe that the killing of innocent people, children or otherwise, women, men, anyone that is innocent, that is not at the forefront of or leading the charge to murder and oppress others, we don't agree with that. I use the example that I don't believe people should kill cops, even though I know cops unjustly kill us all the time. And even though they say, well, it's one bad apple, but if the rest of you stand by and watch it, then we could sit here and say that all of you are complicit. And therefore, if someone retaliated against an entire precinct and blew it up and killed all the police officers, there's some people that can make a justification for that, because, hey, if you're not joining us to turn in, to report, to condemn other officers who are doing wrong, you are just as complicit. And there are some people who have that mindset, but still, as a righteous people, that have been for far too long, for all of my life and the lifetime of even those who came before us, who walked through while being hosed down with the fire hoses, watermelon thrown at them, spit on, beat on, and still they talked about loving their enemies. They talked about turning the other cheek. They talked, and some said it was passive, others said it was a form of being able to maintain your personal righteousness while fighting systems and not people. I mean, there's been many different theological breakdowns and explanations for why violence does not beget violence, right? And we choose to walk in alignment with the idea that we are never to spray the park and shoot up everybody and let the grandmother get shot and the children get shot on the playground when it's in the middle of the war between men. We have always said that. So nobody's going to trap us into a cycle of conversation. But I will say that I don't want to speak on behalf of all Palestinians, because different Palestinians have different feelings.
I'm saying the people that I know, the ones that I know.
The ones that we know, and I'm not even going to put language in their mouth. I'm not going to put the word denounce in their mouth, because I've never been one
I don't denounce anybody. I denounce the violence. I've never denounced
who wants to use that word. But I will say that I know everybody that I know that is Palestinian or that is close to this issue does not want to see children die or people die at all. And as a result, what they are calling for is the best way to solve the problem, which is to deal with justice and to not allow one group or any particular person or any government to rule and reign over the lives and the freedom for self-determination of another group. So we're saying that you're right. Nobody should be dying. Anybody who feels that way, you're never going to get us to disagree. We support that 100%. We support the fact that Israeli children, women, families ought to be safe. We support that. And we know that the path towards it is for every single person. Again, going back to the police reference, it's for the cops to say, hey, if we're going into communities, throwing people up against the wall, treating them like shit, hurting them, harming them, disrespecting them, dehumanizing them, then you know what? I'm not going over there as an officer by myself into the community late at night thinking that somebody might not try to retaliate against me when they can get the one up on me. So therefore, I'm going to walk with respect. My father was a correction officer for more than 20 years. He never had a problem with the incarcerated individuals, especially in the last jail that he was in the Bronx house. Never had a problem. I have met formerly incarcerated people who told me, I hated that jail, I hated those officers, but Stan Mallory, I've never had a problem with him. And you know why? Because he treated every man with respect. He understood that just because you're in this situation, it's not all of you. And he got their stories, even when they were right, wrong, or he was not the judge, the person who could, what do you call it?
Judge and jury.
Whatever. Exactly, the judge and the jury, but I was trying to say something else. That was not his role. It was not his role to judge. His role was to ensure the safety of the officers and the incarcerated people. In order to do that, he felt respect of everybody was the best way. So that's what we're saying. And therefore, when folks say, well, why is Shaun King only showing the images of the Palestinians? Well, who else gonna do it? Because the show ain't on the TV. Right. The TV, every news station is telling you about one side of a story. Somebody has got to use a major platform to provide some balance. And the last thing I want to say is the big ass lie that they have been telling that they now have had to retract, of saying that the children's head that they had pictures of, and the president saw pictures, our president saw pictures of children beheaded. Why is that so important? Because some people would say, well, people still died. So regardless of whether it was beheading or not, people still died. Well, let me tell you why that's important. Because in every comment section that I've read, folks are using that as an egregious, like the atrocity is so big, they're using that to say, I can't even hear the Palestinian struggle because as whatever, whoever I am, Black, white, Jewish, whatever I am, I'm so outraged over the beheading of children that I can't get past that. But then that actually didn't happen. So now what you gonna say? Because the president said, oh, yeah, I saw the pictures. Then the White House secretary or whomever it was, the White House immediately said, oh, actually he didn't. It was from a report that came from Netanyahu, who we know who he is, and the acts of terrorism that he has been inflicting upon even his own damn people, as far as I'm concerned. So then they said, oh, well, now even the Israeli government has had to come forward to say that there's actually not proof of such, which means it was a lie, because at the time it was all about sensationalism. It was all about making people, because if there's one thing that you cannot explain to me, I don't give a damn what happens in the world. You could come in my house right now. You could shoot my mama, my daddy, my son. You could kill every single one of us. And for whatever reason, I might be able to rationalize it because of some shit we did. Maybe my brother killed somebody or my cousin hurt somebody, and therefore war is war, retaliation is retaliation. I might try to understand it. I'm saying I never would, but I'm just using a super duper extreme example. But if you behead my grandchild, if you cut off my 1-year-old granddaughter's head, Lord God bless you, me, and the rest of this world.
You're the devil.
That's it.
It's demonic. You're not even human. There's no way I can humanize you. And that's what this is meant to do. It's meant to be humanized. Because once somebody says that, because I don't give a fuck how angry I am. If I'm at war and this and that, there's no way that I even want to harm a baby. So for me to sit there and grab a baby and decide I'm gonna cut a baby's head off, or any individual, that is the devil reincarnated. That is pure evil. And that's why those stories are being told to our people, to take away your empathy for and your humanization of those individuals. So we're not going to allow that. We're going to always speak truth.
Because to Linda Sarsour's point, the story is bad enough. We don't need no extra. The people were killed. That is bad enough. But when you start talking about beheading children, you know what you're doing. You're creating an additional level of trauma.
Because you know what you're doing, because you know that there's a story that could say that people are dying over here too, and people were killed, right? Yeah. So they know that when they say that, and they just say, well, they kill people, and then we can say, well, they kill people here. It pretty much is like, well, y'all need to fix this, right? But once you beheading the baby, then it's like, oh no, ain't nothing worse than that. So this
wipe them out. Because I can tell you right now, wipe them out. If you be a granddaughter, wipe them out. Every man, woman, it's nothing. Nothing. We've scrubbed the bottom. And I know that's why they presented that. And now it has to be walked back because there's actually no evidence of it. Oh. So now let's go back to having a conversation on equal playing field. And it's still not equal playing field. We know that because we understand. But I'm just saying, let's go backwards now and start having and then once we get on this equal playing field, now we got to start telling some truths about what has happened and the history and the foundation. And then that's when things start going awry, because people don't like to have that conversation. I want to give Joy-Ann Reid some credit, because wow, she certainly wants to make sure that she presents the truth and is providing some fair and balanced coverage of these things. I know it's not easy for her to be able to do that. So I give Joy a lot of credit for making sure that her show is not used to just talk about one side. It's a shame that Black people who are on TV are sitting here and won't even call the Palestinians' name. That's disgusting. But anyway, gotta go.
I'm not gonna always be right. Tamika D is not gonna always be wrong, but we will both always, and I mean always, always, always be authentic and speak truth to power.
Peace.